Hello students, this is Mr. Yao. In this lesson, we will learn how to multiply polynomials. First, let's review some exponent multiplication. Number 1, 4x squared times 8x cubed. Something to be careful with is we need to make sure we multiply the numbers together. That gives us a 32. And then when we multiply the variables that has exponents, remember, we're adding the exponents because x squared is x times x, then x cubed is x times x times x. Altogether, we actually have 5 of them, which is x to the 5th power. Number 2, same thing. We will multiply the numbers all together, so 3, 4, and a -7. That will give us -84. Then we see all of these have r, and we add the exponents, that's r to the 5th, 5 plus 2 plus 6, that gives us r to the 13th power. Number 3, again, same thing, -2 in the front, -11, they will be multiplied and gives us 22. Next, we see there's p to the 3rd power and p to the 6th power. That will combine to become p to the 9th power because we add the 3 and the 6. Then we have this r and r to the 4th power. Remember, when there's no exponent, it actually is a 1. So it's going to be 1 plus 4, so r to the 5th power. Number 4, we see 7 in the front, then 8. They will be multiplied to become 56. And then we have a cubed and a squared. That will become a to the 3 plus 2 5th power. Then we have the b, which is 1st power, and b to the 4th power. 1 plus 4, that is b to the 5th power. And lastly, we have c to the 5th power, then c, which is just 1, that will become c to the 6th power. That's just a quick review on exponents. When you multiply the same base exponents, you do add them. Now let's have a look at multiplication. When we multiply a monomial with a polynomial, we distribute. And if you feel like you're struggling with that, draw some lines to indicate to yourself what you're doing. So we have this -3c on the outside of parentheses. Let's connect it with everything inside the parentheses. One thing I still need to emphasize on is the sign goes with what's behind it. So first we have -3c times 8. That is going to be -24c. Then we have the -3c times the 2c. That will become -6c squared. Lastly, we have -3c times -c cubed. The negative and negative becomes positive, so that's going to be a plus 3c to the 4th. Finally, the question is asking for standard form. We do need to put the exponent in descending order. So 3c to the 4th in the front, then -6c squared, then -24c. Now let's do another one. Number 2, same thing. Draw these lines to indicate to yourself what we're doing. P times P, then P times 4. This is -2P times P, and times a -8. So it's going to be P squared plus 4P. The -2P times P, that's -2P squared. -2P times -8, that is going to be plus 16P. Now we combine like terms. We see P squared and -2P. That will become -P squared. And then we have plus 4P and plus 16P. That will be plus 20P. It's already in descending order, so we're done. Now number 3. Same thing. Draw these lines to indicate to yourself what we're distributing. So first we have the -5mn times the 2m to the 3rd power n to the 1st power. That is going to be -10. m and m to the 3rd power becomes m to the 4th power. If you feel like you will always forget there's an exponent there, you can always write a 1 on anything that doesn't have an exponent. You can always write a 1. Okay, now let's get back to the first term. For n, we have 1 outside and 1 inside. That's going to be n squared. Then we have -5mn times -7. That's plus 35. we have m outside and m inside. That is going to be m squared. N, 1n outside, 3n inside, so n to the 4th power. And lastly, we have the negative 5mn times m. That is going to be minus 5m squared n. Now if you look at the exponents, the first one for degree is going to be 6. And the second one degree, that's 2 and 4, that's 6 again. Lastly, that's 2 and 1, that's 3. So for the first two, it doesn't quite matter which one is in the front. So we can call that our final answer already. That's monomial multiplied by a polynomial. Now here's a video about handshakes. I'm not going to show it. If you want to watch it, I will link it below. But I'm going to assume you have all seen handshakes after a sports event. Basically, two teams line up and they shake each other's hands. But the key is, why do they do it that way? Why do they line up, one from left to right, then one from right to left, and they shake everyone's hands? You can pause here and think about it for a minute. Now, let me explain. Let's see if you share the same thought as me. When they shake hands, they want to make sure everyone is shaking everyone's hand. That's why they line up that way, so that every single person from one team is going to go through the whole row of the other team. That is very similar to polynomial. When we multiply, we can consider parentheses to be two teams, and we also need to make sure they shake hands with every single person from the other team. Now let's look at some examples. Multiply binomial. I will show 4 different methods. First, horizontal distribution. So let's start with drawing some lines. The x goes with the x, the 2 goes with the x, and then the x goes with the 5, and the 2 goes with the 5. For x going with x, we get x squared. Then 2 with x, we got 2x. The bottom ones, x with 5, we got 5x. Then 2 with 5, we got 10. And we just need to combine like terms. So x squared plus these two can be combined, 7x, and plus 10. That is horizontal distribution. Just draw these lines, indicate to yourself. Next, vertical distribution. Square just means we multiply it by itself twice. So 3x minus 5, and 3x minus 5. And it's multiplication. This is very similar to when you were learning about multiplication in elementary school. So that negative 5 goes with negative 5, which gives us a positive 25. Then the negative 5 goes with the 3x, that gives us a minus 15x. And we have this 3x with the negative 5, that's another negative 15x. Then we have the 3x with the 3x, that is 9x squared. Lastly, we just need to combine them. 9x squared minus 15, that's negative 30x, and plus 25 on the end. Now let's look at the third method, which is called FOIL. F stands for front. Front. That means we just multiply the front ones. So x squared and xy. That gives us x cubed y. O stands for outer. That means we look at the outside ones, which is the x squared and the negative y squared. That gives us negative x squared y squared. I stands for inner. So looking at the plus 2 and the xy, because they're kind of on the inside of these 4 terms. That gives us a plus 2xy. And lastly, we have last. So we have this plus 2, which is the last in the first parenthesis, this negative y squared. That is going to be negative 2y squared. Then we just need to put them all together. And that will give us the final answer, which is x cubed y minus x squared y squared plus 2xy, then minus 2y squared. And then we're done. Last method. That is the box method. Basically, each parenthesis is going to be a row or column. So x plus 3y. Then we have x minus 3y. We're going to multiply them wherever they meet. So x and x first, that is going to be x squared. Then x and plus 3y, that's going to be plus 3xy. Next, we have negative 3y and x, that's negative 3xy. Then we have negative 3y and plus 3y, that is going to be negative 9y squared. Then we just need to put them all together. In this case, you can see that negative 3xy and the plus 3xy, they kind of cancel, so they're gone. The only thing that's left is x squared minus 9y squared. But remember, they may not always be gone, be canceling. If it's not, then you do need to write it out and combine like terms. So these are the 4 methods. You can choose whichever you like when you're dealing with binomial. And here are also some formulas you can use, but you don't have to memorize them because basically, if you multiply them out, that's exactly what you're going to get on the right side. So it may not actually be faster if you actually forgot about the formula. But they are there and they may help you. Lastly, let's talk about more polynomial multiplication. This time it could be a monomial or binomial, or even trinomial for both parentheses. So example 1. Let's start by drawing some lines because that still is my favorite method. X with that, make sure you draw all these lines. For x, going with x squared, that's x cubed. Then it goes with negative 3x, so it's negative 3x squared. Then it goes with 2, it's plus 2x. Then we have the bottom ones, plus 5x squared, then minus 15x, and then plus 10. Then we're combining like terms. Nothing to go with x cubed, that stays there. We have this negative 3x squared and the plus 5x squared, that is going to be plus 2x squared. Then we have this plus 2x and the minus 15x, that is going to be negative 13x. Then lastly, we have this plus 10 on the end. And that is done. In case you didn't notice, the first parentheses has 2 terms. Second parenthesis has 3 terms. So after I multiply my first step, I'm ending up with 6 terms. That means for the next example, the first parenthesis has 3 terms, next has 3 terms. After I multiply everything, I should end up with 9 terms for the first step. That's always one way you can at least check that you have everything. So now let's start by drawing some lines. That's that. Now the second term. And now the third term. Okay, go one at a time. Negative 4 goes with everything from the second parenthesis, that's negative 20b squared. Then minus 20b, then plus 16. Bottom ones, negative 2b multiplied with everything, that is going to be minus 10b cubed, minus 10b squared, then plus 8b. Lastly, the red ones. We have plus 5b to the 4th, plus 5b cubed, then minus 4b squared. Now it's time to combine like terms. We have first the highest, so plus 5b to the 4th power. That is going to be the highest. Next, let's look for the cubes. We have negative 10b cubed plus 5b cubed, and that's it. They will combine and become minus 5b cubed. Next, we can look for the b squares. Minus 20b squared, minus 10b squared. We also have a minus 4b squared. They will combine and become minus 34b squared. Then we have all of these b's, negative 20b and plus 8b. That will give you minus 12b. And lastly, we still have the 16. So just plus 16 on the end. And that is the trinomial multiplied by a trinomial. Don't forget about the handshake. Make sure everyone is connected with everyone. We still have 2 more examples. You can pause right here and practice these, then check to see if you got them right. Here are the answers to these 2 examples. Hopefully you got them right. So now, last thing. Multiply polynomials is like. You can fill out however you want. I would say is like handshakes. And now, by now, you should understand what that means. That's everything about multiplying polynomials. Thank you.